Good day, good day. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. And today we have with us Candice, affectionately known as Candy. um, but she is with Microschool, Florida, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hey Jay, thanks for having me. It was really fun connecting with you at your first ever homeschool expo. That was
I
awesome.
know, thank you.
That was really fun. A nice energy, and people were there just feeling inspired, and it was great to see you collecting your crowd and getting people to make the transition when
You're
they were
so
ready.
amazing. Thank you for that.
So
Yes. Tell us something, tell us about you and what you do.
So I am a homeschool mom, first and foremost. I always say I'm a mom first. And we have 6 kids. My oldest is 22. She just graduated from college. My youngest is 10. And we've homeschooled since the beginning with them. We never even did preschool. We did kind of like a friend preschool group where there was 5 friends all meeting together, and we'd take turns on who would have the kids. But anyway, I never really considered myself as a homeschooler until we moved to Florida right when our oldest was going to be starting kindergarten. And that was when I was not ready to put my kid into kindergarten all day. She was a young kindergartner too. So, well, her birthday was in August and she was really shy, and she's also a girl. And where we had moved from, it was a half day kindergarten. And where we moved to, it was full day kindergarten. I was like, no way, that is not going to work out for me. And so we decided to just homeschool. I mean, how bad could we screw it up? It was kindergarten. That was the idea, right? And a couple of weeks later, they had a back to school night at the local public elementary school, and I snuck in. I still laugh thinking about this moment. So I was also pregnant, which probably like put a skew on how I viewed everything, but I was walking around looking at all the bulletin boards and everything, saying, hey, oh, this is really cool. And oh, I like that. And then the teacher said, well, who's your child? And I said, actually, my kid is in God.
Definitely frowned upon.
The look on her face was like, what? That wasn't supposed to happen. So anyway, it was really embarrassing, but I came home from that meeting. I was like, oh my goodness, we are ruining our kid. She's not going to have a cool kindergarten experience. And I just bawled my head off. And I thought, we're totally making a mistake. We need to do something different. But my husband said, come on, how bad can it be? And his mom was really pro homeschooling anyway. She was an educator. She never homeschooled her own kids, but she was always pro homeschooling. And she even wrote 2 books that she published herself. They were just little ones that said, what's wrong with the schools in Utah. And her other book was called A School Teacher Stands Up. And she just talked about all the things that she saw in public education and that she thought we need to fix these things. And so she was nonstop talking about how education needed to be different. And so we thought, all right, we'll give it a try. And she also lived far away at the time when we began. So I didn't have to have too much mother-in-law influence.
Right. That makes a
That is a
difference.
real thing. So
Mm.
anyway, but my own parents weren't really sure what to think about us homeschooling. And I don't know, we just kind of convinced them over the years. And looking back, I do laugh at how long we've been homeschooling. 18 years is a good long time. So that from our very beginnings, thinking, I don't know, I think we're making a mistake. This is never going to work out. To 18 years later going, wow, what an amazing journey. And
Yeah.
let's keep going.
And to have one finish in college.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting too. Now, not all of my kids did homeschooling from beginning to end. My oldest, who did just graduate from college, she started her first year ever of real school, I guess I would say, in 10th grade. That was her first year that she tried out. And our philosophy was just do it for a year. So whatever you commit to, do it for that period of time, and then you can readjust as needed. So that first year she went, and then the following year she decided she wanted to get homeschooled again. So
Oh,
we did that. And then the next year we said, we need some more people surrounding you. And so we put her back into school. And anyway, it worked out for her. She had 2 years. And in that 1 or 2 years that she did go to school, we would get emails from her teacher saying, what an amazing
I
student.
would say she was exceptional.
Now
Yes.
they were saying, can we pin her papers up on the walls as examples for other students to use? And I thought, that's just really amazing, considering, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just homeschooling. And yet she was still able to be successful. She did have
Yeah.
really bad penmanship. I know. I think it'll be funny if she listens to this. She'll say, Mom, stop talking about me. But anyway, homeschooling, handwriting, she was my kid that was like, what? It doesn't really matter. And she'd have really bad handwriting. But when that one miraculous year she went to school, her penmanship really improved because her peers would look at her notes and say, I can't read this. What a miracle. The handwriting miracle emerged, and she was suddenly able to write
No.
penmanship. But anyway, now she's a successful 22-year-old and doing a great job in what she's doing. So I think whatever journey you take, it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else. It's just your journey, and make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yes, yes. That's beautiful. Yeah. So all that led to you creating something that has definitely become bigger than you expected, I suppose.
This is true. So maybe, I don't know how to describe it. So maybe 10 years into homeschooling, I kind of went through the homeschool burnout phase. It was like, nobody's showing up to my stuff like I want them to do. They're not as committed as I was. And I was running all of these free things. I love doing free stuff because that's just, you volunteer, that's where your heart is. But I was noticing that some of the families weren't as committed as I was. And I thought, I just need to take a break for a minute and regroup and figure out what I really want to do. And I thought that was the year that we sent one kid to school, and I sent 2 kids to school that year. My 4th grader went, my 10th grader went. And during that time period, I discovered a very small private school that was about an hour away from where I was. And I went and toured their place because somebody had said, this place is amazing. You need to go check it out. And I'm like, really, how amazing can it be? I went, and it was in an old sheriff's department building, like an old mall. And it didn't look like much from the outside. And I was sitting there in the parking lot going, why did I just drive an hour to come to this place? And anyway, I walked inside and I got a tour. And the first thing I noticed was that it was peaceful inside. And this was a middle school. So, they had mostly middle school kids. There's like 32 of them at the time. And there were some younger kids too, but it was peaceful. The kids were all getting along with each other. And I thought, this kind of feels like a homeschool co-op, but everybody's a little bit more invested because they're coming every day to see each other. And that's when I really started getting my brain going, like, what is going on here? And there's something exciting. I don't know what this is, but let me figure this out. And fast forward a period of time, we ended up trying to create something of our own back where I lived. And it wasn't exactly what their model was. I discovered the word microschooling around that time, which was kind of new. This was 5 years ago. And anyway, we ended up creating our own little microschool. We call it Tapestry Academy. And I pretty much incorporated all the things that I did in homeschooling, but I hired a few teachers here and there to kind of make the program feel more robust. Fast forward a couple of years, I found a program called Prenda. They are a microschool program, and that kind of helped me learn how to become a microschool better than I had before. And I really love that program. I've done that for 3 years, going on 4. We're going to do that next year as well. But anyway, that is kind of how my little microschooling journey began. And I became, what would you call it? Super passionate about microschooling. I love to talk about it with anybody I can find because, number one, that word is just not heard
Often,
in many
yes.
places. Yeah, it's evolving and growing, and the word isn't new, but I think people recognizing it is a new thing. So especially with COVID and the pandemic pods and everything, it was kind of cool to think that I was doing that before COVID happened. And then fast forward We're still continuing down that road. And I started a little directory to kind of help other families find microschools and homeschooling. And I remember after COVID, all the people tried homeschooling that year. Well, a lot more people did. And then I would hear all the time on Facebook, I can't find any programs. I can't really find anything. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? They're everywhere. And that was because
Right.
I just had the eyes to see. I knew where to look. I knew how to find them. And I thought we need to make this easier for families to just be able to find this information. So that's when I created the Microschool Florida directory. It really just started out as an Excel spreadsheet. It was me putting down, I think it was like 10 to 15 different programs that I knew of. I put down their website, who to contact, maybe what their grades were that they focused on. I even would reach out to them and say, hey, are you still operating? So I just kind of did the legwork to make sure that it was still a functioning program. And then I just put it on a list and I started blasting the list around everywhere saying, hey, if you know of any more programs, let me know and I'll add them to my list. And then the list just grew. And then I had like 100 listings in South Florida. That was really exciting. And then
Yes.
we decided to branch it out to all of Florida. The name Microschool Florida it was kind of an accident. I wasn't really planning to fill the whole state. I was just going to do South Florida because that's where I live. And the web name was just too long, Microschool South Florida. Like that, if Microschool Florida was available.
Yeah.
So I took the Florida one. And I think that was a really great decision back at the time because now I've been able to grow into my name a little bit. And
Yes. Less limiting.
it's less limiting and I'm able to go meet microschool owners and different programs that are up in Jacksonville, or I met somebody up in the Panhandle area just a few weeks ago.
I love because you met someone at the expo and you were just like, oh, can we come see? Just like that.
Yeah, that's true. We went and visited Active Academy in South Miami when we were down there. That was really fun. Well, I've met him at a couple of different networking events that we've been part of. And so I thought, hey, let's go see your place. And I just know me as a little microschool owner. I love people to know about what I'm doing, where my heart is, and what's your day-to-day look like? And oh, you have problems doing that too? Yeah, me too. So anyway, it's just nice to build a little networking thing. But yeah, he was really excited to have us come. And
Nice.
it was only like 10-15 minutes away from where you were down there. So I didn't have to commute down to go visit. We were already there.
That's awesome. And y'all were able to compare notes and talk about, your operations. So what does your operation look like? What does your school day look like?
So the program that I do, it's 16 to 20 hours a week. I like to say we're location free because we travel, do a lot of different activities. But we do surfing twice a month with Surf Skate Science. It's a little program that we have down here in South Florida. And we also do farm days twice a month. The kids are running around and catching chickens and washing horses and whatever it is that they think is fun. I always like them to just get dirty and plant a garden, all those things that are really grounding and help you feel like a good person.
Nice.
Also, the city that we live in, Boca, I don't want them to think that everybody needs to be all posh. So Boca is kind of known as being the posh city. I happen to not be that type of person. I feel like I'm the normal person living in this city. But, I just want all of the kids come from all different backgrounds. We have families that are well off financially and others that are not. And we just created this little group of harmony because everyone's focused on letting their kids be educated in a really self-directed way, not as many rules and regulations on what they need to do, but just being able to let them explore and look into their own passions.
Nice.
Lots of outdoor time, and it's just really fun, exciting. I know that one year that we did COVID, everyone was like, oh, my kids always are the masks and staying away, and it's just not very entertaining. And I thought that year for us was beautiful. The kids were outside all the time, climbing
Yeah.
trees and really living their best lives. So that was a great experience for us personally.
Nice. How many kids do you have in the program?
So my program, I have set at 10 kids.
Mhm.
So it's usually about 8. Last year I did fill up to all 10 slots, and that was
Okay.
kind of fun and exciting to say we hit capacity. But
And so do the parents share responsibility? Like, how does that
so
work?
the parents are in charge of, like 4 to 5 hours of learning a week to kind of hit their curriculum needs for the week. But also they can just be saying, hey, we're going to do a cooking class at home, or we're going to take you to that karate class that you always do. They just need to help engage the kids 4 to 5 hours a week, and they document it. So they keep
Okay.
what they do. But yeah, we cover all of the subjects. So the history and the science we usually do through projects, and that's really fun. Lots of trips to the library, lots of, you know, just field trips in general. We
Yeah.
went and toured a community garden. That was actually really fun. And just learning from the people, you know, if
Of
somebody's really
course.
passionate about what they're doing. The lady who ran that community garden up in Riviera Beach, it was a little bit of a drive to get up there, but it was amazing. And they had this little mulberry bush tree thing, and it was like eating candy straight off the tree, because
Oh, wow.
it was in full bloom. The kids could pick off the little berries and eat them. And I thought this was an amazing experience to just walk around, and they got to pick a loofah, the things that you like
Mhm.
scrub your feet with.
Yeah.
So the kids got to see that it was actual plant.
And
And
you just taught me that because I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
That is amazing.
And you can peel it and then like cut it up, and then you can like rub your skin with it. So
Oh my
anyway,
goodness, I need one now. Like, that's why my feet are away still. But yes, that's awesome. I did not know that.
I
Fun
know.
fact.
So it's just really fun to just go around and see things. Sometimes we do field trips to like non-conventional places. So we went on a field
Mm.
trip to Sprouts grocery store. That was
Oh,
amazing to see behind the scenes and walk in the freezers and talk to the people about what it's like working there. So there's lots of adventures for, you know,
yeah,
just
all the different departments and everything. Like, there's a lot to
yeah.
learn at the grocery store. It really is.
I know. Well, I remember doing that type of field trip back in the 80s. So, but you know what I mean? You just don't do it as much anymore. So I thought, let's go do it. And they were thrilled to have us come. So that was kind of fun. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's my little program that I do K through 8. We're also working on starting a high school, so middle high school program. That way our sixth through eighth graders, the middle school kids, they can decide what type of education they want to do. They want to be like more running around field trips and, more free and engaging. They can do this version. And then if you want to do like, let's do this, we're academic focused, and that one's also, like 20 hours a week, but we have a different location that we're working with, partnering with a place called Brave Generation Academy. They're based out of Portugal, but that's a
Mm.
really exciting adventure that we're starting in a month down here.
Okay.
So anyway, I think it's just thinking outside of the box, that you don't
Indeed.
have to do things the way everybody else has done them, and just finding community, people to meet with to help you make goals, and see each other every day. It's really nice when everyone knows your birthday and they know that you love Nike shoes. I don't know, that whatever it is that you like to do.
Yeah.
It's nice having a group of kids that all know and can partner with, having a helpful.
Grow together.
Yeah, I love the parents that are involved in our stuff. Sometimes they'll pop in and they'll do like a yoga class for the kids, or whatever their passions are. The parents love being part of teaching a little cooking class or whatever that is. The parents are
Nice.
amazing, and you can tell they're just excited to be part of their kids' lives and their kids' education, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah, that is. Do all of the kids, because you said K through 8, are they all in the same, like, are they all doing the same thing, or how does that look?
So yes, it sounds kind of crazy, but everyone has their own math program, whatever their math
Mhm.
is, and it's all for our program is done online. Not every micro school is like this, everyone's different, but
Of
our
course.
program, they do it online. So wherever they're at, they just are at. So if you're in 8th grade math, you do that. If you're in 2nd grade math, you do that. And we do that through a program called Zern for the younger kids, or that the first program. And then we do an English program. It's called Lexia.
Mhm.
And the kids are just based on wherever they're at. And we have goals. We know how much it would take to complete 1 year of school. And then sometimes, like with education, if they were really struggling in school, they may not be on that grade level. So if your kid's always getting like a C or a D or an F and whatever that subject is, it's probably that they're not on that grade level. They just never learned that material. And so we take them back to where they feel comfortable. We call that your learning frontier. And wherever that learning frontier is, you just establish it, set goals, and then start moving forward. And at first, the kids are not sure. They're a little hesitant, like, oh, I still hate math, or I hate doing this, or whatever it is. But then when they realize that they are having success, they're completing assignments, they're not needing a lot of outside help, they are able to do an assignment in, say, 20 minutes instead of 2 hours of falling on the floor going, I hate this. So it makes them feel more empowered that they're able to do it. And once they see that they can, then suddenly they start doing more and more. And we had 4 students last year that did that. They were super excited and they really pushed hard. They finished a whole year of math by the end of December. And it wasn't because I was telling them they had to. I said, if you do this many of lessons, you'll finish the curriculum by the end of the school year. Wouldn't that be really cool? And they got really excited. And I still remember this little video message that one of the parents sent me of their kid. It was like December 31st, saying, I did it. I mean,
Oh,
like they'd finished a whole year of math by that time period. And so then it was able to focus on whatever that next level was. But it's just exciting to see the kids setting goals, feeling empowered that they can do it. And they are in charge of their own learning. It's not mom or dad forcing them to do something. They really want to be able to say, I did that.
nice.
And I can do that. So I love seeing that.
Yes, that is amazing. That is awesome. I love that you have this community. How easy is it for you to start a micro school? Because you said like you are all like it's a micro school that's not building oriented. So,
Yeah.
You hear micro school, you're thinking like, oh, is this like a mini school building? It's like, no, it's not. Like, what is the process of starting a micro school?
Well, you can have a building or a location.
Of course.
I felt like though that way was more limiting to me. And so I just decided to go location free and use parks and libraries and my house sometimes and other people's houses and, just make that work out for us. But I think it's just finding a core group of kids. So it's usually nice to have at least 5 kids that come from at least 2 or 3 different families, because then if one of the families are sick or something's going on, school still happens.
Yeah.
Your goals still happen, or you're not going to be like, oh, so and so didn't show up. Let's just quit for today.
Yeah.
That does happen. Even when in earlier years, like 10 years before, when I would do little co-ops in my house, we needed to have at least 2 or 3 families to make. If you're going to have just one other person, it's a little bit harder to feel the gusto to want to get up and go do something. But
Yeah.
you just need to figure out what your curriculum is going to be, figure out the group of kids that are doing it. You can figure out if you're going to do it for free or if you're going to get paid to do it. I guess you just need to figure out your why you're doing it, and stick it on a little note card and post it somewhere. This is why I'm doing this, because it
Yes.
always is way harder than you think it is. So you
Of
get the
course.
grandiose idea, and then you start actually doing it. You're like, dang, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Even with
Get
homeschool.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
homeschool the same way. So my husband laughs because every January I'm like, that's it. I'm a failure. Nothing's working out the way it's supposed to. And he goes, oh, please, it's just January. You're going to be fine. And it's the time to throw out whatever one thing wasn't working, put in something new that is, get that energy and excitement going on again. But everybody needs to go through an assessment process and feel like you're being successful, feel like you're being a failure. And I think the homeschooling and the microschooling journey are identical with just the process of doing things. It's taking a leap into the darkness. You have no idea if it's going to really work out, but a strong hope and passion that it will, because they're your kids and you need it to
Yes,
happen.
of
So
course.
when things come up that are unexpected, like one year I dropped like a 4x4 on my foot. It was very weird,
Oh
random
my.
accident that happened. And so I wasn't able to walk for, like a couple of months. I had like really bad walking problems, but we still homeschooled through that. We homeschooled through, like 4 different pregnancies. We did, yeah, there's just all kinds of things. When I started my microschool, we were at a children's museum in Boca, and then the museum went out of business. So we were no longer able to have our beautiful location with sprawling grass and everywhere. I was so like, what? That wasn't supposed to happen, but yet it
Right.
did. And we adjusted, and we shared space in a tutoring center. And it was a place that we were able to use because they started their tutoring at 2 p.m. and we would just use the space from like 8 until 1 and
Nice.
go run around on the little grass patch that they had in the back. But anyway, it wasn't as amazing as the other place, but we got what we
Nice.
needed done. We ended up going to the park a lot. So we would just pile in the car and go hang out at the park to get our green grass feel. But
Nice.
it's just being flexible and willing to move as is indicated. And you
Of
do
course.
self-same anyway. Isn't that boring? So you just need to be willing to adapt.
Nice. Yes, I love all of that. Can you tell me the difference between a co-op and a micro school?
Sure. I would say co-ops are typically very parent involved. So they do have some co-ops where you can drop off your kids. In my mind, of course, I'm like generalizing here. I would say a co-op is typically free-ish.
Mhm.
You do pay for a few things here and there, but it's mostly like supplies, or you would pay for like one time we paid for a music teacher to come in and teach our kids a choir thing. But typically most of the other things were run by the parents through volunteers. And for a microschool, I would say that you would pay the microschool to help do all those things, but the parents could volunteer a little bit here and there as needed if they wanted to. So it wasn't like a mandatory, our program can't function if you don't come in and help. Does that make
Yes.
sense? So
Yeah, I
that,
know because a lot of co-ops have the parents like have a set day or something
yeah.
of that nature where they
Although there are some co-ops that they rent a church, for example, and some churches allow you to have the space for free. Others charge you like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to use their space per month. It just really depends on the place and the program that you've got going on. If you've got like 100 kids running around a church building, 2 days a week, they're probably going to charge you a little bit more than if you've got 5 kids coming to use one room that they've got. It just depends on
yeah,
the program that you've set up.
definitely. And micro school is more structured as far as the setting it goes with the number of kids, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Because
would say
there's
that.
some really big co-ops out there.
Well, there's some really big micro schools out there too. So I've
Mm,
heard even too that you can have up to 150 kids in a micro school, but they're not going to all be together doing their stuff. They're
yeah.
going to be divided into, little groups of whatever your little cohort. I think that's the word people like to use nowadays.
Yeah.
That would be your little learning group and making it all happen. And typically the difference too between like a micro school and like a private school is the word teacher. So in micro school world, we like to use a guide or a facilitator or somebody who's just helping to set goals and kind of help take the kids through this little journey. A teacher would be more of sit down. We're now going to take notes from everything I say because I am the source of all knowledge. Right. Well, teachers aren't always like that, but just that's kind of the different too. And I know that teachers are all about being engaged and doing group projects and being really creative with how they do stuff. And I think that's all awesome too. And that's exactly what being a guide is. But it's the microschool way is more of the kids are helping to guide themselves through stuff. I know some of the
Yeah.
older kids though, like the program that we're doing for our high school program, we are doing it with the Cambridge program. I don't know if you've heard of Cambridge program, but that, or for here locally in Florida, we have the Florida Virtual School program. Those are like, there's a teacher, here's the class, and you're turning in assignments, but it's like a virtual type thing.
Yeah.
I guess the difference is that you're in charge of how fast you would like to go. Do you want to finish this course in 3 weeks? Do you want to drag it out as long as possible and do a minimal amount here and there? Or you want to take one class now and just zoom right through, or do you want to take them all and just go at a slow pace? So you have more freedom to choose what you want to do and how long you want to do it. Yeah, I think there's more and more high schooler kids that are utilizing the online classes because you can see that you have a little bit more freedom. Some of my older children, I don't know, it's kind of a mixed thing with the online schools because sometimes you can forget that you even have that online class, and then you get the text or email from that teacher saying, hey, your kid's going to get kicked out of that class if they don't turn in. You're like, oh, I forgot we were supposed to do that. So anyway, for our little program, we're starting in the fall for our high schoolers, though. I feel like it will be different though, because all of the kids will be doing their schooling that way. It's not like you're doing a school a different way. Everybody's doing the in-person thing, and then you have like one or two that you're supposed to go do on your own at home. This one is everybody's doing this online version for everything, and then we'll have fun things and collaborations with other students to, I don't know, create a little learning environment, kind of like if you're going into the office and everybody's working on office stuff, then you'll feel like this is my environment. I can feel empowered when I walk in here that I'm going to get stuff done. I don't have to be here for forever. I can just get in, get it done if I need to. You can also work from home if they really wanted to. They can really access it from wherever they want to. But the idea is just create an atmosphere where the kids feel empowered to succeed.
That's very important for the child to feel that they are in control of their education, or that they have some kind of say so in what they're learning, or
Yes.
their focus, because I feel like that's what's taken away and in the school sector, like in the public school sector, is that choice of
Yeah.
saying, hey, well, I really like learning more about this, like, can we take more time here? And they're not really given that option.
Yeah.
So
Well, I also found it was interesting too. So with my own 6 kids, I do have a kid who's in public school right now. He actually loves public school.
really,
Kind of like this, what? But anyway, he loves it. He's super social. He's going to be a senior this year. But I
oh,
just know this coming from homeschool background. He was homeschooled, off and on through 8th grade, mostly homeschooled. But then when he was in high school, he wanted to be in real school. And I was like, okay, well, funny, I say real school. We're all learning. But I found from my perspective that they would say you need to submit any changes that you want to your schedule 2 weeks before school starts. How are you supposed to even know if you like the teacher or if you like the class if you can't make any changes once the class has begun?
yeah, 2 weeks
And
before, it's like
I
I can't get a
know, right?
trial inside.
You can't even try it. And then there's just so many kids, like at my son's school, there's um the graduating class is like 1,200 kids. That's,
What in the world? Where they have all those kids at?
I know, that's crazy, right? So anyway, that's our public
Yes.
high school that we're at. It's a really great high school. Everybody praises it. It gets the A ratings and all that stuff,
Mm.
but yet you can't make changes very easily. And if you want to talk to your dean and make any course changes or talk about your future, you get like this little tiny window, and it's, yeah, it's not it doesn't feel personalized. It
Mhm.
feels like well, at one of my kids' graduation things, I felt like we were sitting at Publix grocery store and they were scanning the barcode. It's just
Not
like
public,
everybody
so
there.
goodness. Yeah, no, it's very factory like. I do agree there's not personalized at all. Being, a former educator in the classroom, I can say it is very generalized. It's structured that way. Like you just said, your son has over 1,000 kids in his graduating class. I want to know where all these kids are. Like, what do these class sizes look like? How does that even work? Because I know the school I was in, I feel like we had maybe about I would say about 1,500 to 2,000 kids in the whole school. Not all, as seniors. So that's a lot. That's a whole lot. But he likes it, and that's
Does.
interesting.
I know he loves just being around people. I'm gonna grab
People,
a drink
yeah.
really quick. I'm coughing. Hold
Okay, no worries, no worries. Yeah, so we're talking with Candace about microschooling and her journey of homeschooling her 6 kids through basically from beginning to end for most of them, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yes,
Got a
no
coughing
worries. I
problem. Okay.
know. So with the 6, because you do have the one that just started, well, not started, but he's finishing high school. You were at one time homeschooling all 6 of them.
Yep.
How did that look?
Like pure chaos. I just laugh thinking about that, but no, it was fun. I always did co-ops. I would, at the beginning, when I didn't really know what I was doing, I would join in other people's co-ops. I did my very first year of homeschooling. I ran an art class that we did in the park. So like once or twice a month, we would have like 20 kids all come together. Because my degree is in art. And so I put together this little art class and the kids came, and anyway, it was really fun. So half the time was art, the other half the time was playing around and being goofy on the playground. And then we would just connect with the other moms and talk about play dates and different things that we wanted to do. And this was my kindergarten year for my first kid. And then fast forward, we just started to join other co-ops. Sometimes I'd be in like 2 or 3 of them. Down here in South Florida, there's a program called Saints PE. So it was a once a week drop-off program for 3 hours where they would do sports and
Nice.
like games, like sharks and minnows or whatever those little games are that the kids all like playing. And then they would eat their little lunch, and then I'd pick them up, and they thought that Saints was the real school, and everybody
Oh,
enjoyed it because it was scheduled. We knew that we were always going to be heading out there at like 8:40 in the morning. Everyone's in the car, we're all driving over to Saints, and then we pick up, and they felt like that was amazing. But we did that program for probably 14 years. It
oh
was,
wow. Okay, that's
yeah,
awesome.
I felt like the sun doesn't go up or down without us being part of that program. It was just something I really clung on to. And then when the COVID happened, they closed all the parks down. And so that was really sad to see their program go through hey, we can't even run it because the parks weren't allowing any programming. And so they ended up shifting to churches. And I think that's where they're keeping their program at now. But they're being flexible just the same as all of us are.
Of
Um,
course.
I would love, back in our early days, I would always try and find a family that had at least a couple of kids that matched a couple of my kids' ages. And then I would always partner things. So like after our Saints PE program, I knew that my kids hated doing writing, like writing paragraphs and things. So I would teach a writing class right after the PE program. So we would have, like 3 or 4 kids come sit around our kitchen table, and we would do all of those writing classes every single week for the whole school year to get our papers done. And then they would know that they'd need to we'd talk about the new lesson, and then they would get help getting it started. But then the next week, when it was time for that class again, they would need to present their paper to their group of peers. They'd have to stand up and read the paper. And that was way more motivating than just saying, hey, your paper's due next week. They would never have done that for me ever in
As
years.
long
Like,
as you know.
that was not going to happen. So just knowing that their friends were going to be there, and anyway, that made all the difference. We also would rope in like public speaking things in there. Entrepreneurial things. We would just find things that were interesting to us. One time I did a science co-op where what was it called? The Apologia books. I don't know if you're familiar with those. By
I've
Jeannie
heard.
Fulbright. I love her books, but the first time I read her books, I was like, what is this? This is not a science book. This person's having a conversation with me as they're writing in the book, and I don't know if I like this. But anyway, forward, I was like, I love her. I heard her speak at a homeschooling convention.
Nice.
Heard her background story, and I was like, I love everything about what she's trying to do. So anyway, that one's more of a creation-based thing. So in my microschool, I try to make it secular so that everybody of any faith background feels comfortable. But when I was doing stuff for just my kids, I would choose a curriculum that was geared toward whatever my faith was, sometimes for whatever subject. I don't know. I like the idea of being flexible. So you can change depending on your group and what your needs are.
I love that. That's really awesome. And I like that how you grew through it. Because that's a lot of kids to have at home with you. It's a lot of kids.
I know. Well, the kid who really likes public school, when we were homeschooling him, it was like every time I turn around, I'd be like, where's Cole? Does anyone know where Cole went? And he'd be outside catching lizards in the backyard because we have lots of lizards here in South Florida.
Oh yeah,
Every
no, there's a
time
lot
he
of
would like
lizards.
be sneaking out. So
Yes.
anyway, that was kind of what my homeschooling experience was like with him. Where did he go? Where is he? Where did he go again? He was like the master escape artist. But every kid has their own way of doing things. But
Indeed. And the freedom of homeschool allows
yeah.
them to do it. And that's the
Oh,
beauty.
yeah.
I love how you all started with that gym act or the PE activity.
Oh yeah.
That's really awesome because kids wake up with like they're on 10, like they're ready to go, ready to do something. I know mine first, like it was barely 8:30 and they're like, I want to go outside. I want to go outside. I want to go outside. I'm just like, well, give me a minute. But they wake up full of all of that. And so that's awesome as opposed to them going to sit somewhere and trying to learn something or trying to, memorize or whatever the case may be. They're able to go and run and get all that stuff out. And then how you say you had your writing program after that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's
I
the
love that.
secret sauce. Kind of like
Yes.
you won't get your kids to clean up their bedrooms unless you tell them that you're going to take them to the movies. That's what I've been doing this summer. They have those dollar movies. I don't know if you have those where you live. So I'm like, this is the best $1.50 I ever spent. Your whole bedroom is clean, top to
Right.
bottom for $1.50. Amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just finding partnering things. When you said memorizing stuff, though, it reminded me. I wrote this blog post years ago on like a homeschool blog that I did, but it was about how important I had a playlist that I had every morning for when the kids were getting ready, like brushing their teeth or getting ready for the day. It had like different piano songs that they were working on. I had poetry, memorization things. I had like the states and capitals. I had skip counting math songs, and it would just like play the songs over and over and over every day during that time. And then my kids would be like, Mom, seriously, can we listen to something else? And I'm like, well, do you know what your sixes timetables are? And they were like, of course we do. And they would say them because they'd heard it.
They've heard it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, awesome. We can stick a new one on. But they had no idea that they were memorizing that stuff. It was just me playing it.
Don't worry, I have more material.
But they helped pick out some of the stuff. Like we memorized this poem. It was called The Spider and the Fly. I don't know. It's a really famous poem. But we listened to that one over and over and over. And now, like, if I ever hear anybody talk about that poem, I know that one in and out because we listened to it as part of our thing. But the funny thing is that I had a 2-year-old listening to those songs at the same time. He actually learned his states and capitals faster than the rest of us
Of
did.
course.
And
Yes.
he was like our little, what would you call it? It's like a novelty act. You'd go to Home Depot, walk in, and you'd be like, okay, Augusta, Maine, Concord, New Hampshire. So
Nice.
anyway, it was just kind of funny that he was such a sponge picking up on all of that stuff. And I wasn't sitting down teaching him how to do all that stuff. He was just listening and being part of what was happening. And he was picking up those things too. So you have to be really conscious about the things that you have going on in your house. Like video games, I have been like a video game. We're not doing anything cool like that. Finally, years later, I have broken down. I think it was last year for Christmas. We finally bought like a PS5, but
Oh goodness. Y'all jump right out the window.
I have tons of kids and we've done lots and lots of years of we're just not doing
Without,
that.
yes.
But I thought, okay, fine, I'll cross over to the dark side. We'll allow them to do stuff, but we still set up parameters where they can't do it for like tons of time, or they have to make sure at least the mornings or until 3 p.m. In the summer, it feels harder because there's lots of free time around, but just setting up the idea of when you wake up in the morning, you're going to feed yourself emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, to like gear for a better tomorrow, whatever that looks like. And then you're going to do something that's like conquering stuff. Do you want to keep working on your math? Do you want to learn German? Do you want to, what are your goals for the future? Do you want to learn how to build an airplane? I don't know what it is. What do you want to do? And spend time every day on whatever your goals are. And whether it's like learning how to do a sewing machine, or my son just made a knife. Like one of his friends happened to have a forge of all things. And so he was working on building a knife, but he's probably spent like 15 hours sculpting, sanding, hammering that thing out. And he's so proud of it now, but it was part of the create and do something that you're really proud
And
of.
complete, like just like, the act of completing a task, as extraneous as that, like that's awesome. That
It was
really
awesome.
is.
I had no idea that you could do it with like a propane tank and a little forge kit. They're just standing in the backyard, like hammering on cinder blocks. And I'm like, what? That's so cool. So anyway, but just keeping that feeling for every day of rejuvenate, find something to like study and grow, find something to create, and find something to collaborate with others, to just make yourself a better person every day. And yes, you do get downtime, and I have bazillions of books around just because I want my kids to always feel like books are their best friends.
Yes.
Yeah, I read a book once too that was about like the number of books that you have around your house depends on what kind of a reader your kid is. And I don't know if that's necessarily the same anymore, but I just love having books around. There was even another book that I read about how you stack your books on your bookshelf. They're like, keep your bottom shelf, make it messy and accessible so that the kids will be okay to go and select a book from the bookshelf. Because if it looks too good, they're not going to go do it.
Right.
It's got
I
to
can see
feel
that.
accessible. And so they're like, keep your bottom shelf messy. Then the other ones can be arranged by color or subject or whatever it is that you want to do for your organizing, but make sure that you have it accessible for the kids. And sometimes I've even picked books out and like turn them around on the front, and I use them as decorations around the house. So this
Nice.
book and this one, depending on what unit or topic we're covering. But yeah, books are amazing.
Books are amazing. That's always my go-to also. Like the girls tell me, we don't have anything to do. Read a book. Read a book or write a book. You guys, my oldest, I'll tell her quick, write a book. Like write one, because they tell so many stories and their imagination is so. I really want people to see like them in their like height of when they're just playing by themselves, like in the back seat or outside or whatever. They take on all these characters and they pretend to be like this, like all within one game. Like they're like 5 different people, and they announce it. Okay, now I'm so and so. Now I'm this person. Now I'm that, and I'm just like, should I be recording this? Like, this is so interesting. But I always feel like y'all can write books. Like, y'all have to understand what you're already creating. Like, y'all have already wrote several back there with what you're doing. But yeah, I'll tell them quick, write a book. Just write a book.
Yeah, that is
Write a
great.
book.
We also love audiobooks. I don't know if you've done a lot of audiobooks, but when we would ever be in the car for more than 20 minutes, we would put on an audiobook. And there's one by Susan Wise Bauer. It's called Story of the World. That was one of my favorite ones. We would listen to those over and over and over because it just, like, some people would say, well, how do your kids know so much about history? And I say, well, we just listen to these audiobooks. My kids love to like listen to Taylor Swift and all those other things too. But if we're going to be in the car for 20 minutes or more, we're putting on something that's learning as we're
Have
going.
some kind of
And
substance. Yeah.
yeah, and it can be like the history books, which are really fun and engaging, or it can be a really cool story that we're all dying to see what happens next. It really doesn't matter what it is because the kids are learning vocab, they're learning about plot and, character development and all
Yeah.
those things too. So it's just doing it as a family and making it like Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web
Yeah.
is actually an amazing book for all age levels, including adults. That's a really, really good one. And The Cricket in Times Square, I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That's a classic. That one's great for all ages too. It's just, there's really good short books that are out there that everyone in the whole family can enjoy. And if you've seen Charlotte's Web a million times, the cartoon, it is not the same
As
as
the book. Yeah.
reading the book. It's just different. In fact, on one of our, we went to North Florida, right? And we were coming back, we decided to turn on The Wizard of Oz by Anne Hathaway. She's that famous actress, and
Yeah.
she did a book narration for The Wizard of Oz. She does all the voices herself.
Oh, wow.
There's like 20 different characters in that book. She had them all. Like, one had the Valley Girl accent, one was like British. She did all the voices, and that was so fun to just listen to her do those as we were driving along. But yeah, that was fantastic. And then we kept saying, they don't do it like that in the movie. They totally left that part out, or so anyway, it was really fun. And they were like, what, her ruby slippers weren't really ruby? So it was just kind of fun to experience that together. But anyway, books are a great way to cross over age differences
Yeah.
and bond you together. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I love books. My girls haven't quite developed the love that I have for books yet, but like, I'm just, waiting it out. But
Yeah.
I like you, I have books everywhere, even in the car, like with us traveling, we have books everywhere, accessible, like backseat pocket, everything. It's like, hey, pick out a book, pull out a book, guys.
Yeah.
Like, yes. But I will have to adventure more on the audiobooks because truth be told, and as funny as it sounds, like my kids, my kids know Wayne Dyer as far as the audiobook goes. Like that's who I listen to. And they can go, is that Wayne Dyer? Like they can pick his voice out. And it's funny, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I will like have to look more because YouTube does offer a plethora of everything, like everything. We have done they'll do the puzzles as far as like guess the animal sound and things of that nature. Like we've done that, but I'm definitely gonna have to try to play more audiobooks for all of us, not just
Yeah.
myself. Not
Well, you
just
know what?
myself.
I love those self-help books too, and I'm constantly listening to books about education. I'm listening to one right now called The Last Child in the Woods. I don't know if you've ever heard
Mm,
that one. It was about playing outside, and anyway, it was written like 20 years ago, but it's totally applicable to what's going on right now. But the kids,
indeed.
they don't love listening to it, but they listen to it. And my
Yeah.
husband doesn't love listening to it, but he's listening to it. And I think it's like 6 hours long, or I don't remember how long, but they're not going to hear the whole thing, but they're going to hear it enough to know, hey, mom thinks that's important.
Yes. Yes. No, I love that.
And this is why she wants us to go outside and play. And this is why she's going outside with us to do nature journaling. And it's because I'm doing all the reading and I don't have time to just sit down and read books. I wish I did. Whenever I do, I fall asleep. But the audiobook, I can do all kinds of stuff too. And it's really, makes you into a better person. It's
It
like
does.
pouring into you. You're filling up your cup when you do those things.
Yes, ma'am. You really are. It's very important. Very, very. But I just love this. I love this whole talk that we've had because of just offering parents the reimagination of what learning can look like and understanding that it could look so many different ways. And that's what we really advocate for, like choices. Like there's choices in all that we do, even though a lot of people be feeling railroaded into choosing one thing or going with the norm or the popular or
Mhm.
whatever it is that people are, saying you have to do once you reach this age or that age and this. Just even with the diversity that you have within your household, with your, you have a whole micro school, but you have a child in public school. Like it's not a frowned upon thing. It's just that we're venturing into different avenues and understanding that there are a lot of different ways to reach our kids. And what is for some is not for others, and allowing that to just be and to meet those ones where they are at. So very, very important conversation because you definitely made micro school sound like it's something that everyone can do. Like, hey, get some kids, start planning together. But no, I love that. I love that. Is there some advice, especially being a homeschool mom of 18 plus years? What's some advice you would share with new homeschool families?
I would say find a friend or somebody that you trust. Do everything they say for the first year or two. That's like the easiest way to do it. And then after you've done it for a little while, then you're going to be like, oh, okay. And then you can start branching off and doing your thing. Everybody needs a mentor. And I definitely became a homeschooler because of the lady who lived down the street from me. She had a kid just a couple years older than me. And I pretty much did everything she said. And I still remember that moment that I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that class this year. I think I'm going to do my
No.
own thing. And I was like, hey, that's part of the journey.
Yes, the
It's
growth.
the growth, feeling brave enough and feeling confident enough to go and make your own choices. And now I look back over time, like all of those homeschool moms who are my mentors over the years, they all are kind of retired now.
Mm,
Their kids, they're having grandbabies, they're living a different life. And one of them went back to school to work on nursing stuff. And I was like, that's so crazy. I am now the homeschool mentor. And I don't
yes.
even remember when that transition happened, but it happened along the way. And you just keep going and it's going to be okay. You know, there was a
Yes,
lady at
ma'am.
your event. I just loved her story where she said, I don't do math. She was a teacher. She goes, I don't do math. She was a teacher and she said even her, like she would skip like a day or two or a week or a month and then was like, oh my gosh, we didn't do math. But then when her daughter was old enough to be doing algebra, that was her first class that she ever attended. And she did fine. She got her a tutor. She was developmentally ready to conquer algebra at that time. And she was
Yes.
successful at it. And I think that was part of my journey too. I had a couple of kids that I just didn't have time to do all of their math with them years ago. Now it's so much easier with like a computer program. Everybody can do, like my Microschool is totally different. All the kids are on their own just grade levels. I check in and I can see how many did what, when, and it's really easy to check up on stuff. Back in the day, that was not the case. I was correcting and doing stuff and I just get overwhelmed and be like, oh, but my kids did just fine. And skipping 2 or 3 months of math, which I would normally go, oh my gosh, why would you ever do that? They were learning all kinds of cool stuff in the meantime on different subjects. And then when we were ready to jump back in math again, they did just fine and they kept swimming. And my boys are the ones that went 3 months without math because they were lying to me saying, oh yeah, we did our math today. That was the year I tried this online program and I didn't know how to really check on it. So
Mm,
they survived. They're both very, very good at math now. Like my son's doing calculus this year and I don't
mm.
even know how to do calculus. So he's
Um,
passed me in the math department. And I just look back and go, I wasn't perfect at it, but we still kept trying every single day. we surrounded ourselves with a good community. And then if we didn't find a good community or we had to switch to a different community, we still found other people to be part of our community. And then we just kept making our best effort every day.
Yeah.
And it was not perfect. It was actually kind of messy. We're still going and we love it. I think when you try to be too perfect at it, or maybe just do that online curriculum only, you get burnt out because it's hard. It's hard to do that. You really need to be flexible with yourself and find others, because some people can designate homeschooling as only do this online class. You're sitting there for like 10 hours a day doing it. And that's not quite as filling your spirit and your soul with the songs of I love to do alternative education as a different way of doing it. But they both work. And you just need to find out what works for you.
Yes, yes, yes. There's no one way that it has to look. That is the message. There is no one way. It's your home, your way. Like, figure out what works for you all, and understand that if you need community, you can build it. That is the big homeschool thing. When entering into, it's like, oh, I don't want my kid to be alone. Well, build something where they are not alone. Like, create something that allows him or her to be around their peers. So it's not a journey you have to take alone. Homeschooling is not as scary as some may make it sound. If we just focus on the now as opposed to the calculus.
Yeah, that's
like,
scary.
going that
now.
far. Yes, no. And understanding that there are so many resources, so many. And Candace has a whole Florida directory that you can learn more and more about different resources. So definitely tap into her resource if you are in Florida. What are some ways to reach out to you?
So yeah, I have my Microschool directory. It's microschoolflorida.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all LinkedIn, all those. We're learning how to do that, and that's kind of fun. There are lots of questions being popped out there, which I love seeing the community come in to answer now. It's not me answering everything.
Yes.
Helping everybody. So that's really great. And it's not just in Florida too. So there's people from all over the United States that are coming in and being part of our Facebook group. That's kind of fun to see. And the LinkedIn group are kind of from all over.
And are they Microschool Florida? What is the handle for that?
Yeah, it's just Microschool Florida for parents and educators is the group that are on there. Okay. But I'm just trying to put resources out there to just help. Like, I interview different microschool owners. I had this idea to like start doing my blog of homeschool parents as well, and just put those success stories out there to help you feel like if you've never done that before, that it's going to be okay, because you're going to find somebody who looks just like you. Somebody else has done it. You can do it too, and just keep trying. So
yeah, you are very inspirational and very encouraging. And I really, really appreciate you and working with you in Miami. Like, I love your energy and your attitude towards it all. Like, you make it like, oh, it's okay. Like, everything's fine. Like, you're good. And I love that. I love that reassurance. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Any closing remarks?
Nope, just do it.
Yes, I love it. Believe in yourself, families. Y'all got this. I promise you do. And if not, you can reach out to someone who can help you.
Yes.
Okay. It's not something you have to do on your own. But yes, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.